Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Winning Online Sales with a Programmatic Strategy. My name is Arda, and I'm part of the marketing team here at StackAdapt. I would like to hand it to our presenters to get us started.
Thank you very much, Arda. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I guess we can get started with some introductions. Just to introduce myself, my name is Albert. I'm a sales manager in the UK at StackAdapt. I have been here just 18 months now, but I have worked in Programmatic for maybe 5 or 6 years in total. But I've always worked in the realm of advertising. Once upon a time, I sold newspaper adverts. I don't know if anyone remembers newspapers and magazines, but showing my age a little bit there. But I have quite a bit of experience in the world of advertising. So that's me. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for joining. Over to you, Beatrice.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining this webinar. I'm Beatrice, I'm a creative strategist here at StackAdapt. It's been 2 years that I've been working with brands across different market verticals here, creating display ads, CTV, video, all of the programmatic activity, and also analyzing data to produce the best ads for their campaigns. So thanks for attending again, and yeah, over to you, Albert.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's get started. So a quick introduction about StackAdapt and who we are, just in case you are not familiar. So StackAdapt is a self-serve programmatic advertising platform used by the most exceptional digital marketers. This state-of-the-art platform is where some of the most progressive work in machine learning meets cutting-edge user experience. Ad buyers plan, execute, and manage data-driven digital advertising campaigns across all devices, inventory, and publisher partners. So in simple terms, it's a good DSP. So let's get started by taking a look at the agenda for today. Hopefully we'll get through this nice and efficiently, and we'll be able to give you a little bit of time back. But let's have a look. So we're going to take a look at e-commerce trends and insights. Then we're going to move on to the e-commerce customer journey, some channels that we can explore. And then Beatrice will talk about creative strategies for e-commerce, and then we'll take a look at some targeting strategies, measuring the impact and how you can measure your performance, and then a wrap up and a Q&A. So let's get started with e-commerce trends and insights. I think this is a good place to start, just because it will give us a nice sort of high level view of some of the trends and insights and challenges and things that we'll need to navigate in the coming months and in the near future. Ultimately, these things are going to impact how and what strategies we decide to employ and what our approach is to our campaigns. So for starters, the global online sales forecast. E-commerce sales will represent 32% of retail revenue in the UK and are forecasted to reach 28.1 billion euros this year. Now, if you take a look at the graphic on the right-hand side, what you'll notice is across all of these verticals, fashion, electronics, furniture, beauty, health and care, etc., is that there's going to be an increase in e-commerce sales. Ultimately, what this is saying is, despite the challenging economic times that we're facing, cost of living crisis, etc., etc., there still is growth in e-commerce, and that presents opportunities for us as marketers to still be able to deliver on our goals, to drive new customers, to drive revenue, brand engagement, etc. So there still is a lot of opportunity out there. Now let's take a look at some of the things that are driving this growth and this progression in e-commerce. So there's 3 key areas that we want to talk about today. One is AI and data analytics will power personalization. The rising demand of personalized shopping experiences is driving e-commerce brands to invest in a combination of customer data and predictive analytics. Personalization is a key point. It's a topic that we'll touch on a few times throughout this presentation. It is definitely something we seriously want to be considering as we move through the next few months and the next few industry peaks. Mobile sales will represent the biggest piece of the pie. This is quite interesting. 56.8% of e-commerce purchases in the UK this year will be made via a mobile. For me as a sales manager, when I'm speaking to clients, both brand side and agency side, this is always a key topic of conversation, right? It's really important to understand your audience and understand the device that they're using, because that's going to influence how you engage with those users, the strategy that you're going to use. Even from a creative perspective, you definitely want to consider that, right? If almost 60% of sales are happening via mobile, then your creative approach and the opportunity that you have is different on a mobile versus a desktop. So that's something to be considered. One of the things that has come up quite often in some of my conversations working with retail brands and e-commerce brands over the last few years is the difference between iOS users and Android users, right? iOS typically has a larger share of the smartphone. Sorry, Android typically has a larger share of the smartphone market, but if you were to take a look at iOS users, they typically have a higher average order value. So how does that impact your strategy? AR and VR are transforming the way customers shop. So more retailers will adopt AR and VR technologies this year to enhance their shopping experiences and reduce returns. I have personally experienced this myself. I was fortunate enough to get away for a holiday this year. I say holiday, chasing a 2-year-old around a hotel for 10 days is not much of a holiday, but I was at least fortunate enough to get out of the country and to enjoy some good weather. And part of that process was me deciding that I wanted a new pair of sunglasses. So I was shopping around as you do, and one of the things I found on one particular retailer site was the ability to scan a QR code on the site on a particular product page, and that would engage the camera on my phone and then allowed me to place a virtual reality version of the shades on my head so that I can get some idea as to how they look before I make the purchase. And I just found that quite a useful tool. I've also seen and heard it being used by watch retailers and also home furnishings and people in that sort of industry. So there's definitely some growth in AR and VR improving our online shopping experience. Technology innovations that shoppers desire, also quite an interesting point. So personalized product recommendations are the most desired shopping experience amongst Gen Zers and millennials, whilst older generations value frictionless payments. So as always, it's important to understand the demographic of your target audience. And once you understand that, then you can start to look for and identify different trends and characteristics. So for example, if we take a look at Gen Z and millennials, so that's everyone between the ages of 18 and 42, over half of them said that the thing that they want most digitally is personalized product recommendations. So this requires us to be able to understand what they're interested in and then to match that with the products that we have. Alternatively, if your audience is more Gen X or baby boomer between the age of 43 and 77, the thing that they desire most is frictionless payments. So ultimately, the importance of understanding these trends and these insights are going to, again, impact how you look to engage your customers and how you deliver your campaigns and the experience that you want to create for your audience. So again, on the topic of personalized shopping experiences, almost 30% of UK consumers prefer retailers that create tailored shopping experiences by remembering their preferences and past behaviors. Personalization would allow you to develop customer loyalty, boost attention, and to yield larger purchases. Again, using myself as an example, there is a particular retailer that I purchase from quite frequently, and they have a really cool feature that allows me to select my favorite brands so that anytime I return back to the site and I want to run a search, I'm a bit of a sneakerhead, right? So I buy an obscene amount of trainers and I only buy them from particular brands and particular models. So when I return to the site, it makes it a really easy and straightforward experience for me because in the filter, I can select favorites and then I can search for my size and then it will give me search results based on my favorite brand. So that's great for me in terms of my personal shopping experience. What it also does for the brand and the retailer is it gives them actionable insights and data about me as a consumer, as a customer. So they can activate that data because at this stage I'm part of their first party audience, and what they're then able to do is to maybe engage me if they have any particular promotions related to the brands and products that I have said are my favorite. So I think that's a really cool feature. Okay, so we've had a look at some of the trends and insights, but now let's take a look in a bit more detail at the actual e-commerce customer journey. So the online purchase journey, I'm sure we're all familiar with the marketing funnel. You have the awareness stage where the goal is to tell your brand story, to tell your people about your brand values, your proposition, and to introduce them to your brand or to a particular campaign that you're running. Then you move them onto the consideration phase where it's more about the product, company research. At this stage, you want to create engagements. You want to have site actions, product interactions. If you have some really cool creatives, as Beatrice will show you in a few slides time, you can create some really good ad interactions. At this point, you can then focus on driving sales or any type of conversion that you find being most important. And that could be anything from a product purchase, signing up for discount codes or newsletters or app downloads. Then you can start to focus on experience and customer feedback, right? Where you can have a look at driving customer loyalty, get them to review you on social media platforms or online forums, sharing their experience with family and friends. So implementing a multi-channel strategy. This is something that I always talk to clients about and something that I'm really quite keen on as a strategy that really can drive greater performance from your campaigns. It allows you to create and maintain a single view of the customer across all channels, and then to also set control groups and to measure multiple touch points. So if you are considering a multi-channel strategy, there are a few things and a few points that you want to have a look at. So audience research, of course, understanding internally and externally what data sets you can activate to create personas about the users and the customers you're looking to target. The customer journey map, so understanding how your target audience moves through the funnel, identifying the different channels, so learning which channels your customers use most regularly and for what. I think the different channels is really important. We can all, I mean, as I sit here now, I've got a laptop, I've got a work phone, a personal phone. Obviously, I'm working from home as well, so I have a smart TV, which most of us have. So there's various different opportunities in terms of the channels that we can take advantage of to identify and engage our audience. Then creating consistent messaging. If you're going to engage people across different channels, you want the message to be consistent. That way it's more impactful and you have a greater opportunity for customers to be able to recall the brand or recall the message. And then also another area that is really key. This is testing and optimizing. Testing is absolutely key. We work in an industry where things are forever changing, right? If it's not a change to iOS, it's a change to GDPR and privacy and cookie deprecation, etc., etc. So being able to test different strategies, different audiences, different channels is absolutely key. Not only will it give you insights into how well a particular strategy can perform, but also tells you where you can drive incremental growth and to continue to grow your brand no matter what economic environment you're in or whatever challenges are presented to us as an industry. One of the key benefits of multi-channel tactics are the ability to extend campaign reach. So if we take a look, if you were running a native campaign, for example, and just native, such is the nature of the various different publishers that are available and providing inventory, you don't always have the option to deliver a native campaign because it may not be a feature of the publisher's site. So if you did run native only, that would give you 53% access to the digital population or the audience that you could reach, right? However, if you were to simply add display into the mix, that 53% increases to 87%. So ultimately, that gives you much greater scale and then provides you more opportunities to locate and to engage with your ideal customer. And there's various different combinations of those channels that will increase the reach and opportunity that you have. And that's why multi-channel tactics are definitely worth a consideration. A proposed multi-channel approach, just to give you some idea as to what that might actually look like. So again, we spoke about the awareness piece, and at the awareness stage, kind of the two main things you want to focus on is the ability to deliver your brand message in an impactful way, and also what scale you can get to be able to deliver that message. So a combination of CTV, which gives you the impact, being able to serve your ad campaign on a big screen, and then also display, which is going to give you the reach. So that combination is allowing you to deliver and achieve on your awareness goals. Then you can move on to engagement and conversion, right? And this is where you're creating those product interactions, site interactions, driving purchases, etc. If people don't purchase on their first visit, you can retarget with video, you can retarget with display, and you can retarget those users with native to get them back to site to complete a purchase. And then measurement and attribution, right? Site traffic, brand lift studies, purchases, form fills, etc. are the things that you're going to want to focus on from a measurement perspective. So now let's have a look at a couple of channels to explore that I think are worth considering. We'll start with digital out of home. I find this really interesting. Again, when I speak to my clients, it's definitely something that we look for as an opportunity. It's a really impactful channel. I think out of home, as a means of advertising is not new to us, but the inclusion of digital technology has made this an even more powerful medium or channel within which we can use, right? So one of the things we look at, for example, let's say you were a retailer that has a sports related product, for example. One of our inventory partners is Zoom Media, and they focus on digital out of home screens that are available within gyms, right? So gyms right the way across the country. So if you have any products that you would like to promote to an audience that are in a gym, people that like to work out and keep fit, then that presents a great example, a great opportunity of delivering a message across a channel that has a great opportunity to be high impact, but also is contextually relevant. So definitely some key considerations there in terms of digital out of home. Similarly, we have connected TV as another opportunity to deliver a message in a high impact environment. Again, this is typically deemed as a lean back environment where users are quite relaxed. A lot of the content is unskippable. It's definitely a good environment within which you can deliver a brand message. There are various different targeting options that you can consider, such as time and day of the week, frequency capping, device type, device make and model, etc. So these are definitely some things that you would want to consider when having a look at multi-channel campaigns. And so that's enough from me for now. I'll hand over to Beatrice to talk about creative strategies for e-commerce, which is probably going to be the best part of the presentation.
The more fun part. Thanks, Albert. So just to complement everything that Albert is saying, we need to have good creatives for programmatic in order to just complement the whole strategy. So this is what I'm going to show you guys now. We have a mock brand here just to illustrate what a strategy would be like for e-commerce. In this case, for the awareness stage, that is the upper funnel. We have a content that will just be more for brand awareness. In this situation, we chose to have a digital out of home to promote the shoes from this the mock brand spot. So in this stage, we always recommend informative and compelling content. So we want to introduce the brand and the product, and then we will always add brand elements that will help the customer to remember your brand after when they see other types of ads in the future. The creative here, we will always use lifestyle content or product content with a good highlight on the logo, especially for digital out of home. And the ad formats that we recommend here can be CTV, as the sizzle reel that Albert just showed, or display ad, an animated display ad where you can put your product, your brand, and then some copy that highlights the features. Also digital out of home, that is this example, or even in-banner video display, that is a display where we can get a video of your product, of your website, or anything that relates to your campaign goals, and then embed the display ad so the customer has like a better vision of what the product is or your service. And then for mid-funnel, we have the consideration stage. In this phase, we will promote the unique features of your product or benefits. In this case, for the mock brand, we are promoting a discount, but also showing the different colors of the product. You can also add testimonials to this part because it gives more credibility and trust. So when the customer sees the ad, they will read, for example, what other people are telling about your brand, and this might, give them a better impact when they deciding to go and visit your landing page. In this creative strategy, we built a scratch to review ad. So when the user hovers their mouse on top of the product, in this case, the red shoe, they can review the discount. There is more interactive, and then they get the 10% off. Ad formats that we recommend here, we can have Shopify feed, we can have this crash to review, that is this one, or even social ads. We see very good results when we use social ads for this stage. There are ads that mimic, for example, Facebook or Instagram visuals, because the customer, they are familiar with the interface, so maybe they will be more likely to click and visit your landing page. And then for the last stage, the decision one, that will be, the last one in the strategy, we recommend ads and units that will help conversion. So for this case, we built a countdown unit to promote the summer sale, for example. So for this stage, we will recommend putting like pricing information or even special offers. Any unit that promotes a sense of urgency also helps to encourage users to just, take an action and click on your CTA button. CTA as well, we always recommend buy now or shop now. And again, like we display promotions or timers here because people don't like missing things. So when they see that they only have like 14 days, for example, this can help them, to just go and take an action at that same moment. The way this countdown ad works is that we'll show the timer from the moment that the customer is looking at the ad. The ad formats that we recommend here for conversion, we have dynamic retargeting that I'm going to talk about. We have countdown, that is that one, and also native ads. So about dynamic retargeting, that will be the main recommendation if you are an e-commerce brand or if you have clients that work, in the e-commerce market. We always recommend dynamic retargeting because we see that almost 70% of all e-commerce carts, they are abandoned. So this type of ad, it can be native and also display. They will feature dynamically the last product that the customer visit on your website. So even if they didn't shop that shoe, for example, they will have the opportunity to shop it again. This is dynamic, which means by installing a pixel in the website, you will always present the product that they looked. And what is great about this is that automatically every product that is out of stock in your website will not show. So rather than doing manually creatives promoting specific products on your website, you will have a dynamic one that will just eliminate all of the out of stock products, but also will show everything on your website only with one creative. So we see a great performance with e-commerce when it comes to this unit. This is a success story that we had last year with a client in Spain. So they wanted to create ads with us, with our creative studio, achieving a CPA of 30 euros. And then we built this dynamic retargeting with like great tactics on the platform. And we actually got a result of 3 euros CPA, which is great. It's super like different than the goal. And they were super happy. And this is what like we always recommend our clients to do when it comes to e-commerce. These are other formats that, interactive display ads that we can build for your brand as well. So we have Hotspot there, that is the first one. So if you have a brand like this clothing brand, we can add these little circles on top of the product. And then when the user hover their mouse, they can see the price and the product title as well. This is great because it helps the user journey. Rather than having one ad per product, you can have one, lifestyle image there, and then just promote different products that you're offering. Also, we can add different UTMs and URLs to each one of the circle. So rather than having only one CTA button that will drive the user to a main landing page, you can drive them to the specific product one. This, of course, saves time from their user journey and can increase your conversions. Similar to this, we have Lookbook, that is just a scrollable version of a hotspot as well. And then another one that we see many clients using is a carousel. So if you have, again, like a clothing brand, you can click on top of each one of the image and then get the proper information about how much that costs, or the product title, and also see different images. These are also like customizable, so we can add different URLs or UTMs to the CTA button, and then just send the client to this specific landing page. This is our newest one. We have the shoppable video, and these are like carousel ads, but they are shoppable ones. So we have the banner down there, and when the products are appearing, the customer can click on top of it and then shop the clothing in this case that is being displayed in that scene of the video. This is great if your brand already produced a very good video, because we know, like it costs money and time to produce one of them, so we recommend to try to reuse it in different channels and with different functionalities, so we can get the video and then add specific buttons while the products appear, so the user can go and click and then go and shop the product. We do this through some templates that we have. So even if the brand don't have the brands don't have a video, we can produce the video and then just add these buttons ourselves. Also, we can add UTMs to it, so you can track what target clicked on each type of product. And after this is done, you can even create a retargeting campaign, just targeting those personas and those people that were interested in this specific product. And then also we have Shopify feed. This is something that we always recommend if you have a feed available there. So we can build a display ad, for example, that will show the Shopify feed. We'll just embed the Shopify feed to it. And then you will always have the product titles, descriptions, and tags align with what's trending. And then also creates a sense of urgency, because we can feature limited time offers in your product feed, and just show all of the products that you need from there only through one creative. So the dynamic feature here is very good as well if you want to save time, and then you don't have to build more than one ad. It will be enough, as it will pull all the information from the Shopify feed. And that's all from the creative side. Over to you, Albert.
Thanks, Beatrice. Okay, so let's have a look at targeting strategy. So we started by looking at some sort of, I guess, macroeconomic trends, just to give us some insights as to what might happen in the near future. Then we had a look at the actual online customer journey. Now we've just had a look at some creative formats that can be utilized. Once we've decided all of that, then looking at exactly how we're going to target customers is a key part of the process. So we'll talk about a few different audience strategies. So browsing audiences, this is where you're essentially targeting topics that are relevant to your campaign, right? So what we do at StackAdapt is our AI, our engine, the machine learning will understand users' online behavior, their consumption, products they're interested in, pages they've viewed, to build up an idea of their interest and their intent. And you can utilize that to build your audience, right? We spoke previously about understanding your audience personas. That's the information that you'll take to build your browsing audience campaign. You can do this in a couple of ways. You can either select pre-built off-the-shelf segments, or you can use custom keywords to create a customized audience specifically for your brand or specifically for that campaign. It's always a good idea to make sure that these keywords align with campaigns that you're running across other channels, such as PPC, search, etc., etc. Alternatively, this is another key thing that I like to talk about with clients. This is page context AI. The reason why I think this is a key strategy or a key audience type to use is because it's cookie free. So we all know, and we've been hearing for a very long time about the deprecation of the third-party cookie. We've recently seen that Google have rolled out their privacy sandbox and ad topics and that sort of stuff. So I think they said they're going to fully deprecate cookies in the second half of next year. So we're only about 9 months away from being in a scenario where the cookies aren't as useful as they are today. So page context AI, or any contextual solution for that matter, if you're not considering it, I would strongly encourage you to start considering contextual as a solution. It's actually really powerful because what it does is it goes beyond just understanding the category of a site to an extent where it understands the context of what is being discussed on that site. And you can determine that context by, again, entering key phrases and keywords to tell the engine the environments within which you want your campaign to be served, and then your campaign is served in real time. So there's a high level of relevance, and you can get people in an environment that is really contextually relevant to what they're searching for, what they're looking for in that moment. First party data, another key strategy, again, something that I'm constantly reminding clients to focus on and to double down on. First party data is essentially the richest data that you can get your hands on, right? This is the best information that you can have and that you can onboard that will allow you to build audiences from your current clients and to power ultra relevant messaging. Remember going back to that example I gave of the retailer that I shop with that knows all of my favorite brands and all of the products that I'm most interested in. That level of data is exclusive and unique to them as a retailer, but also is really good in terms of, if they want to action that data, right, and run campaigns to target me with promotional material, etc. What the first party data also does is gives you the opportunity to use a strategy called audience lookalike expansion. And this is essentially where you've onboarded your first party data, which ideally would be, you would have made sure that it's all GDPR compliant. You'd onboard it with a partner such as LiveRamp to ensure that. You would have made sure that in your DMP, for example, that data is well organized and segmented. So if you wanted to take your higher spending customers, you could take them out, onboard them into a StackAdapt platform and build a lookalike audience, which is essentially going to say, find me more users that look like those users within this segment. So that's a really powerful strategy to use. We're approaching a retail peak with Black Friday, etc. Did a user purchase last Black Friday? If they did, then there's a good probability that they're likely to purchase again. So do you want to activate on that to give yourself the best chance of success? Also, scaling social audiences with social and impression-based targeting. Essentially, what this feature in StackAdapt allows you to do is everybody that we serve a campaign to, we can put them into a pool of data or a cookie pool that allows you to then take that information, take those users and to activate them and retarget them within a social environment or within a social platform like Facebook. So this is really key. We've spoken about multi-channel strategies and why it's important. Also, point of personalization. And what this does is allow you to tick those boxes because you can keep a consistent message, you can target users across multiple channels, and you can then actively or proactively rather and intentionally move those users down the funnel to the stage at which they're ideally going to convert. Now to talk about measuring the impact. So ultimately, of course, as we all are most likely aware, the KPIs that you have and the goals that you want to achieve are essentially going to depend on the structure of the campaign, right? And which stage of the marketing funnel you're going to engage users at. So depending on that stage, you will have relevant KPIs, and being able to understand that and to ensure that that is clear is really important. And it can differ depending on the channel, depending on the audience type. So if you are running a conversion campaign, then of course you're going to look at return on ad spend, cost per action, CPA, and ROAS, for example. If you are running video, the goal with video is to deliver a brand message through a high impact channel like video, right? So you want to make sure that viewability is high and is at a rate that you're happy with, because otherwise there's no point if users are not actually seeing the content. But then also, if you're looking to drive traffic to site and on-site engagement, you'll be looking at KPIs like click-through rate, website traffic. You could also look at something we have at StackAdapt, which we call a cost per engagement. So this is where we go beyond just driving users to site and getting them to click, to the stage where we want to ensure that each user has spent a minimum of 15 seconds on site. And that's what we're going to optimize to. Let's find users that are going to spend 15 seconds or more on site, because that tells us they're highly engaged. Reporting is also really important in terms of optimization, right? I spoke about testing and optimizing in one of the previous slides. So ensuring that your provider is able to provide you with detailed reports on various different strategies, various different KPIs, different bits of analytics is really important, right? So with us, there are different available reports, such as inventory-based, audience, conversion based reports that are going to give you information such as revenue attribution, passback information analytics that are going to tell you what products were purchased and the revenue that has come from those products and those campaigns. Conversion journey analytics. So if you're running a multi-channel campaign, you want to understand which point of the journey were most effective, and where have you managed to engage users in order to get them to the stage at which they convert. Equally, you also want to understand maybe if there are particular channels or points that are not working, so you can focus on the areas that are and that are most effective. And then demographics, of course. So looking into your site visitors and those that are converting, what is their gender, their age, their estimated household income, the products that they're interested in, is really key. This information is not just key in terms of understanding how well your campaign is performing today, but the insights that you can pull from these reports are going to provide you with actions that you can take to optimize and produce better performing campaigns moving forward, so that you can continue to drive growth and generate sales and revenue in future campaigns. We've spoken about some channels that are key and really designed to deliver a brand message. So things like digital out of home, CTV are channels that are primed and perfect for delivering brand messages. One of the things that is also important, if you're going to deliver a brand message and you want to tell a brand story, you can run a brand lift campaign to measure the impact of that message. And there's things like a one-click survey where a user is encouraged to answer a short question and to click, and that will provide you with data and information, and similar to like a yes or no answer, where you can ask a simple and straightforward question. This is really important in terms of, again, getting those insights and being able to deliver these in real time. Okay, so quick time check. I think we're doing okay for time. So we'll do a quick wrap up and then we'll have a look to see what questions have been submitted. So 3 key points, I guess, to take away. Leveraging data for dynamic campaigns. So being able to harness the power of data-driven insights to create dynamic programmatic campaigns, something that we just spoke about in the previous couple of slides. Leveraging data is absolutely key, from a first-party perspective to a reporting and insights of existing or past campaigns. Offering a multi-channel experience. Again, we can all agree we have multiple different channels that we utilize throughout the course of the day, from devices to moving from mobile to web or to audio when we're listening to podcasts, for example. Several opportunities for you to engage your audience and to make an impact and to continue to move them down the funnel. And then, as Beatrice took us through, creating irresistible creatives. This is actually really important, right? As our ability to create personalized communication and to utilize data becomes a bit more challenging over the coming months, there is going to be more of a focus on how good your creatives are and how well you are able to engage your audience. So being able to utilize different creative strategies and formats that can not only capture people's attention but also drive engagement is definitely important. And I think that is all. The last thing I would say is essentially you want to target with a programmatic platform that can handle the new demands. So again, as I mentioned, if you're not talking about, for example, contextual as a cookie-free solution, you really need to start engaging your providers and having that conversation and testing contextual solutions, so that when the changes do happen, you're not caught off guard. Alternatively, again, going back to the multi-channel piece, we can all say probably and quite easily within the course of a day, we'll consume all of these different channels that you see there on the left. And again, that presents you with the opportunity to engage with your audience and to make an impact and to drive sales. And those things, you can do all of those through StackAdapt, and and we provide a very comprehensive service right from start to finish. Although the platform is self-serve, we can also offer a managed service where we can guide you through that process and get you to a stage where you are an expert in running programmatic across all of these different channels and with all of these different audience options. Okay, so I think we can move over to a Q&A.
Perfect. I can take it from here, Albert. Thank you so much, both Albert and Beatrice. That was a great and insightful presentation. So now we would like to jump into the Q&A portion of the webinar and open up the floor to any questions you might have. As a reminder, if you have any questions, please place them in the questions box of the GoToWebinar panel. There are already several questions coming through. So just a heads up, if you're not able to get to your question today, please don't worry, we'll follow up directly with you after the webinar. So first question, what are the best ways to measure the ROI of awareness campaigns on channels like CTV?
I'll answer that one. So I think part of the answer is actually in the question, right? They're awareness channels, and one of the key or two key elements of awareness are reach, right? If you have a message that you want to get out there, you want it to, to be able to ensure that you can deliver that message to as many people within your total addressable market or your, ideal customer. You definitely want to make sure that you have reach and scale. And then I think we spoke about brand uplift studies as well. You're delivering a brand message, running a brand lift study to, determine how impactful that message was, or a customer's ability to recall your brand or to recall your message is quite important. I think something else that I'll mention, we recently ran a case study, which you can see on our site, where we had a digital out-of-home campaign run by an agency called Digital Willow for their client who was the tourism board for Isle of Man. So what they did is they ran a digital out-of-home campaign. It was contextually relevant because it's a travel product or service. So they placed and they focused on inventory available within airports, contextually relevant environment, catching users in the right state of mind. But then what they were then able to do is to measure the impact that they had on all of their other campaigns and all of their other KPIs that they were focused on during the time within which that digital out-of-home campaign was live. So whilst they, of course, measured it based on being contextually relevant and the impressions and the reach that they could generate, they were also able to see an uptick in various different KPIs like CTR, their on-site engagement, searches, and that sort of stuff. So that's also something to consider when you're running channels like digital out-of-home or CTV, for example.
Thank you, Albert. Second question we have, how long does it usually take to produce a creative such as scratch to reveal and a video for CTV?
So it depends on how many assets the client has to send us. If we need to build the assets from scratch, because sometimes we get some brands that they are like starting or they don't have many images, then it might take a bit longer. But our average to build a display ad is 5 business days. It's very quick. We build all of the sizes. And then after this, the client can send us feedback, and each round of changes or amendments might take 2 business days maximum. And also for video, again, it depends on how many assets the client has to send us, but we can even outsource or record, but the average is also like 5 business days for the first one if it's just an animation, and then changes might take 3 to 4 business days depending on what they are requesting. So this is our like ETAs. It's usually 5 business days for the first version, but it depends on how many assets we'll have to produce from scratch.
Thank you, Beatrice. Another question that we have is, Can you share some insights into budget allocation and bidding strategies for e-commerce brands in the programmatic advertising space?
Yeah, I can take that one. Ultimately, budget allocation and bid strategies are going to be driven by the goal of the campaign. So, for example, if the goal is to drive awareness, then we're going to focus the majority of the budget on awareness channels like video or maybe digital out of home or CTV, for example, because they are the channels that are going to deliver awareness in the best way possible. If it is video, for example, or even display, you would bid on something like a CPM, right? CPM is where the engine is going to focus on getting you the greatest reach and the greatest scale for your budget. Alternatively, if you're looking at driving traffic to site, you could focus on a bid strategy using CTR, a click-through rate, and then the focus is going to be on getting you the best click-through rate possible, which is going to drive traffic to site. And then, of course, if you're looking at driving conversions, then you would look at a CPA, cost per action, cost per acquisition, or a ROAS, return on ad spend, etc.
Thank you, Albert. Let's take one last question. Could you provide some insights into the ideal frequency and timing for programmatic ad placements to maximize conversions for e-commerce brands?
Um, Okay, so frequency, well, typically we would suggest a frequency of between 7 and 10 in 24 hours. So that essentially means we'll show the campaign to each individual user between 7 and 10 times within a 24-hour period. There's a few considerations, when deciding on frequency. The frequency that you choose will ultimately determine how much or how often we serve a campaign, which of course is going to impact your budget. How many times you serve an ad to an individual user is going to impact your reach. There are also things, I mean, you can be a bit more aggressive, with your frequency and try to show campaigns to users more often. However, there are things like banner blindness that you have to consider, and also just being annoying, right? If you're showing the ad too often to people, it's just going to be a bit irritating and could actually have the complete opposite effect. So there's a few things to consider there with regards to frequency. But again, I think ultimately it all comes down to insights and understanding the strategy, what your goal is, the products, what your customer's life sales cycle is like, and that sort of stuff. And then that can be adjusted accordingly.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you so much once again, Albert and Beatrice. And that concludes today's webinar. Thank you all for attending today. We hope you found it both informative and insightful. We'll be sending out a follow-up email with the recording to all registrants. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any other questions you may have. And thank you again for joining us, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Great, wonderful. Thanks, Ada. Thanks, Beatrice. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.